Hi, I'm the Salmon of Knowledge, and I want to be in the sequel.
And I'm the long frocked Cher impersonator that likes to dance around and not the bees and not be in the sequel.
I thought you were the oldest god. So
And you're listening to They're
they're here.
Here,
Podcast,
a discussion
a disembowelment,
of all things horror
fear.
and
Oh my
the
God.
macabre. Today we have the absolute mind-bending film that, like, I mean, well, first of all, it's spring, so this has to be done. And if we don't do it, we'll probably be chastised by all the Wiccans and pagans out there. We have the Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man, finally, yeah.
Oh God, like 1973 British folk horror classic of a film that is subsequently everything like Wiccan, pagan, or even witchy related is subsequently measured against. Um, Directed by
Yeah,
Robin
it's really
Hardy.
like everything that has like even anything like vaguely pagan, vaguely cultish. It's like this is like the what Jaws is the equivalent to in like for shark movies or like the
Yes.
Jurassic Park for dinosaur movies. It's like
Yeah.
when you make something that's even remotely cultish, secluded island-ish, pagan-ish. People are like, oh yeah, but like, is it an homage to the Wicker Man? Uh, we've heard that a lot, kind of like with Midsummer,
Yeah.
um, which like we'll get into it with this. I understand there is completely similarities, but like very like surface
Yes.
similarities.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're actually like very very different. And like I said this to you a couple of times after watching. I like I like misremembered this movie because I haven't seen this movie since I was like 10 or some shit like
Yeah.
this. Um, I misremembered this movie for being a lot more like intricate and like b a lot more like outrightly
Evil and horror.
creepy or like
Yeah.
yeah, I remember it being like a little bit more outrightly like witchy. But
Yeah.
it's not. But like I loved it. I absolutely fucking loved this movie.
Yeah. This sort of started the whole 70s trend of kind of like you would look at it as like like I was saying, like everything is subsequently kind of measured against it. Where it's this film. I even said it to you before. It's like this film has become sort of a millstone around the neck of every other kind of folk horror film that has come since then. And when it comes to this film in particular, uh, everything that you see, particularly in this film, and different cuts as we find out, there's several cuts of this film that you see a lot more kind of more dreamlike qualities than actual outright horror. Whereas, like you just said it, like you get Midsummer, and they have all these kind of like everything you see in the background, there's something disturbing going on there or that or that.
Yeah.
Whereas this film is just sort of this Christian policeman is just kind of outrightly viewing old pagan traditions, and nothing really horror wise happens until what, the last 25 minutes of the film at most.
Yeah. I think like it's kind of oh god, like it's gonna be kind of impossible for me like not to compare this to Midsummer just because like so many people put them like kind of in the same sentence and like I think I'm remembering the Wicker Man like from being a kid as more like what Midsummer is, which is like
Yeah.
more outrightly sinister and like
Yeah. The
paced a
whole
little faster. But I actually now this movie watching it again really reminded me of you know, like when you catch a movie on TV, remember like just flicking through channels and shit, and you
yeah.
like catch the start of a movie, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And you kind of like keep on. That's how I found like so many of my favorite movies. That's how I found the like Clockwork Orange was just flicking
Yeah.
through
Oh, I
like
love
TV
that.
one night as a kid, and
Yeah.
like and just like yeah, stumbling upon this like absolute classic. It's just
Yeah.
like what the fuck is this? I think I did the same for Blue Velvet as well. I watched
Oh,
Blue
Blue
Velvet when I was like
Velvet.
when I was like 6, which is so the wrong movie. Such a weird intro to David Lynch. But
So being
yeah.
being spring, of course, like I said, we definitely have to do this film. I mean, it would be a sin for us not to. Number
Mhm.
one, we have to worship the old gods because we are the Irish, we are the OG pagans, and if we don't do it,
I
it's a
worship the old
sin.
gods every time I talk to you, Nathan.
Damn right, we stand the old gods. Oh wait, was that it? Okay, yeah, I just caught that. Wow, thanks.
It was an oath joke. Yeah.
So the first thing I kind of want to talk to about this is there's a few things about like the process of this film that were like just really really interesting to me. Is that when this film was filmed, number one, it wasn't filmed on an island. It was filmed off I think it was the south of Wales, I think. And it wasn't shot in spring, it was shot in winter. So every time you see an outside shot of things, people aren't like outright happy summer. They're fucking standing in the background and they're literally shivering. You can see them in the
Yeah.
background shivering. It's so funny.
It's like yeah, it kind of like gives you an inkling as to why they like dance around a fire.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're kind of just like, why do they hop over the flames? Because it's fucking 2 degrees, Mary. Are you serious? You know, this shit is cold
This
out
is
here.
so true.
But like, I don't know. I think like it kind of sucks that we get like not a lot of horror movies set around kind of our Celtic islands.
Yeah.
Because I think like the idea of like seclusion, I feel like it couldn't really be done in Ireland. I guess the idea of seclusion because everywhere is 20 minutes walk from somewhere.
Yeah.
Ireland is like very very small, but like Scotland, Wales, places like that have like that kind of are like sisters of like our land. Um, they have these like huge expanses that like really just spell out seclusion. There's just nothing around. I think like those are kind of the perfect settings for a horror movie.
Yeah.
But like I don't think like I think Summerisle, I could live there. I could very definitely live there.
I would very definitely. You see, you and me, we're definitely excuse me, we are definitely those like how would you say it? Like we are the kids where we grew up in the sticks. We grew up in the quieter places of Ireland. So like we're more natural and happier in quieter, greener areas than we are in towns or cities. So of course,
well, I literally
Summerisle,
have that note that like like Summerisle, the village, looks like where I live. It literally looks like my town because it's like small and kind of like has a little bit of an older population.
yeah,
Everything is kind of stony, and like I like that. Like I like sure even like the place where I moved from also looks a lot like that.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it very much looks like this. But I find that kind of like comforting now. I find like the everybody knowing each other kind of thing nice in like small towns, and like I
Yeah.
like that idea in movies of like small knit communities that have like a secret. You know what I mean? Like something's like just behind the veil.
Well, to be fair, this town, I mean, like, we see it, like, when Sergeant Howie, Woodward's character...
What a babe. I want that man to spit on my face. Like, that dude is so fucking cute. Holy shit. And he's not British, he's Scottish, so...
Edward Woodward's character, when he does arrive at the town, or not the town, more so, like, that whole kind of flight sequence and things, which, by the way, is filmed near the Isle of Skye in Scotland. It is a beautiful landscape, just put to this very weird kind of... You said it to me earlier that this
corn rigs and barley rigs and corn rigs are bunny.
It's a musical in places.
I've been listening to this soundtrack for literally a week now, but like this movie is prog rock as fuck. Like there's instruments in here that like were not used a century before, and we're not used a century afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like very definitely a quintessentially 70s soundtrack, you know? And like a lot of it really does hold up. That might just be because I like kind of what most people would describe as terrible music, but like I don't know, it's really like it's good, and I think it suits. I actually think it really suits the movie because it's kind of a lot of it is very fairy tale-ish and very like they're telling a story. It's not just like lyrics that sound pretty, you know, they're kind of like bringing you through. Like there's what do we get to later where it's like and on that tree there was a branch, and on
Oh
that branch
God.
there was a nest, and in that nest there was an egg. So,
We get it. You want to
so,
talk about the penis. You're dancing around the maypole. We get it.
oh, I love it though. And on that man there was a girl, and on that girl, yeah, it's just
Oh
it's so
God.
good. It's so good. And this is
This.
all going on, yeah, while like children are just like running around the maypole, like in you can tell, right? If that was done in a modern movie, all those little ribbons, we'll get to that later, but all those little ribbons would like form together to make like a
Yeah.
really beautiful like spiral. But
Yeah.
like because it's literally children doing it,
Yeah, they're like
it just
fucking
gets
it up.
tangled as fuck. Yeah. You see it in the background, and it's just like it's like red and white like ribbon or whatever like that, and it's just tangled up in knots in the background. It's so good.
This film, its script, it's sort of basically it's very like loosely based off of David Pinner's novel The Ritual. If you've ever seen that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then The Golden Bough is also an inspiration, and that's very close to sort of depicting giant humanoid cage-like, spoiler, Wicker Man type deals with human offerings. And there's just so much like there's so much imagery and things like that in this film that like really kind of push the pagan iconography and things like that, which is something that I really hate.
Which
Get it? Wicca? Which is something that I really hate now in the Nicolas Cage version, that 2006 god awful remake. We spoke about this before. we don't know her. That they chose to not only that, but they moved it to America. And you and I spoke about this. Like, America never had original pagan beliefs. They never did.
Like this is quintessentially Celtic, Gaelic. It's,
Norse
like,
mythology,
I wouldn't even consider
everything.
this like a British movie because everybody else in there is. We have lots of mostly Scottish actors. We have some Irish actors
and Swedish.
Welsh actors here.
Yeah.
And even our main character himself is Scottish, even though he's kind of representing the kind of British stiff upper lip kind of sergeant, strict Christian, not even a Catholic.
Yeah.
Which would have been very Irish at the time, but like very Catholic or very Christian. This story is very, very quintessentially European and like specifically Gaelic Celtic, and you kind of don't get that
in the 2006 version. Yeah, no, you just don't get it because when it comes to places in America, they were the I want to say, like, it's sort of funny, they were the colonialists, they were the Puritans that were really kind of like pushing for Christianity. So paganism, if any,
more in line with
was
our main character.
Yeah, paganism, if any, would have been either stamped out or brought over by the Irish when they traveled to America. And even at that, Catholicism was on the rise. So paganism would have been very, very small, if non-existent, from that point onwards.
Especially at that time, it's like for anybody that's listening, people that like wouldn't know that it's like paganism. I'm just going to speak for Ireland, just because like I'm not from Scotland or Wales or anything. That it's like paganism was our like native religion.
It was, yeah.
Pre-colonialism and all this kind of stuff. So like
we worshipped the stars, the fields. Like we literally worshipped the old gods. We worshipped gods of the sea, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I was just looking back into that the other day, and like I was just about to say, the God of the Sun. Speaking of the God of the Sun, this movie like opens up with this like gorgeous like
it's sort of, it looks like one of those ceramic plates
that just like opens up and like zooms right into the screen. I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was like in my notes. I really appreciated that. Yeah, it never made sense to me why they made an American adaptation of this and set it in America. It never made sense to me. It's so quintessentially European.
Plus, like, it's just a bad choice to be choosing fucking Nicolas Cage to be your protagonist. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody saw this movie and said, yo, Nicolas Cage needs to play this sergeant, bro. You know? Who the fuck did that?
Yeah, man, it was just a bad decision throughout, like, just horrible. The other one I do actually want to mention is I do want to do it because I'm not, you know me, I'm not the biggest fans of sequels or anything like that, but I would love...
Oh, God, this fucking movie, Nathan! Jesus.
I would love to do a retrospect of The Wicker Tree, which is a true sequel to The Wicker Man, because Lord Summerisle...
Yeah, well, Jaws 4 is a true sequel to Jaws 3.
Yeah, but fuck Jaws
terrible.
4. Fuck the other sequels.
Fuck The Wicker Tree! I have not seen one good review, except for you being like, this was lit. Okay, let me ask you this. If Christopher Lee wasn't in it, would you give as much of a fuck?
Probably not, no.
Well, there you go. Watch a Christopher Lee interview.
Deep friend of the pod, Christopher Lee. We love you. Rest in peace, my man. Rest in peace. May the old gods give you your chariot of fire in the next life, past,
quick
present,
story,
or future.
I very almost met him before, and then didn't.
What? How could you pass up an opportunity to meet the Christopher Lee?
In town. This is literally years ago. I must have been like 14 or something like that. He was doing a talk in town somewhere. I think it might have been like Trinity or like UCD or something like that. And they used to have kind of like icons come in and like do talks like that and shit like this. And I found out like the day of, and I couldn't go. I was devastated. And he died like only like a year or two after that. So I was like devastated as fuck.
So heavy, man. So heavy.
You're like one of the Draculas, you know? Like you are Christopher Lee. Like
yeah.
I also said to you yesterday, I'm just going to refer to him as Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Lee has this weird obsession with, you know, like Christopher Lee being only Christopher Lee and not the characters he plays. So I'm going to refer to him as Lord Summerisle because that's the way he did the characters. So I'm going to do that. But if you don't want to do it, you do you, boo. You do you. It's not going to mean anything, but you do you.
It means everything. Is the carpet comfortable, Nathan?
So why don't you take a drink? Because you need to absolutely shut the fuck
absolutely up. Shut up.
So Howie sort of like straight from the get-go, as soon as he like reaches this place, he goes by like seaplane. It's a seaplane, right? And he like lands in there, and they're basically like from the island, they're basically like, fuck off back to the mainland.
Yeah, you can't land here, bro. Yeah, and he's like, I say, come over. No, he's so not British at all, but I'm not about to do a fucking Scottish accent. I say, come over here and help me. And then they bring him in.
They bring him a dinghy.
And this happens every time he passes this fucking picture around. He like passes the picture, and like before he's even like turned it over to give that to me, he's like, no, we haven't seen this. We don't know who she is.
And there's like
I don't know her.
There's like 10 or 12 lads like stand there all like, nope.
I don't know her. Don't know her at all. And see, this is weird. I don't know how like Sergeant Harry kind of like plays this in like a really weird way, where like everybody's acting suspicious as fuck, but he just kind of like
he plays it off.
Yeah, he just plays it off so much in this fucking movie. There's so many times where like there's a group of 10 people and they're all holding red flags, and he's just like go about your day. Like he just doesn't fucking like question them at all. Until he gets to like a group of school children, he's like, "You're all fucking liars," you know.
Like they all might as well be like jumping around in red herring costumes, being like, "We know what's going on."
I mean, look in the background. There might have actually been a red herring there somewhere.
There probably was. But basically, what goes on is he arrives essentially like in the midst of all the May Day celebrations that go on during that time.
So yeah, it's like 2 days before, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of... And also they consistently said, like, you don't want to be here for our May Day celebration. Like, literally winking at the camera.
Yeah, you in particular do not want to be here. I thought you would have left before our May Day celebrations, bro. Yeah.
They're practically trying to kick him off the island. They're like practically winking at the camera.
That's what I was gonna say. It is so wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't be here. You know, it's like what's that joke about like school shooters? They like text words like "Don't go to school tomorrow."
Yeah.
You know? Don't come to Summerisle on May Day. Fucking Christian. Yeah.
When they like sort of mention like Rowan Morrison, they said they don't know who Rowan Morrison is, but they do know a Miss Morrison.
From the post office.
Is it the post office? I thought it because like
Post
when you
office
get to that
sweet shop / general store
and God
/ just her house,
like right out the back.
Yeah, like, how many times like she just like brings him in and then like they go to like quote back of shop and it's just her living room with like her other daughter there like painting I know he goes in and he's like, I like your rabbits, and she's like, they're not rabbits, you
they're
fucking
hairs.
idiot, they're hairs. Jesus.
Can I just say that sweet shop, like at the window, everything that's like on the shelves and blah blah as he walks in is just like mouth watering, like all these chocolates, these jellies.
It looks so good. Even later, she like has these little like
It's like it looks like a cake of voodoo doll
like,
kind of thing.
I literally have notes. I'm like, this shit looks so good.
Yeah.
But like, is this not the Marion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just for context, the Marion is like, it's like the sweet shop in our hometown.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like actually like traditional sweet shop where it's like the entire front
glass cabinets with all the sweets, everything.
I bought my comics and shit every week.
Newspapers,
and, like, newspaper and shit.
Cards, Coke cans,
art supplies,
random
art supplies.
Like,
but yeah, there's like this one big like bucket that she is like, right, come on, whatever this other fucking dog's name is, take your sweet and go.
Yeah.
And
imposter.
Like huge, gigantic, like jawbreakers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I know exactly what those taste like. You know,
yeah.
I wanted one so bad. Literally, my mouth is currently watering. I'm like, I want a packet of jawbreakers. So bad.
It's just, They essentially they copulate openly in the fields. That includes like children like dancing around the Maypole. They place toads in their mouth to cure sore throats. Now that is actually like a real thing. That was a real like kind of belief way back when, is that the frog would take the sore throat from you if you sucked on it, and it's still a belief that can be held in some places today, weirdly enough. But I just think that's really interesting that like you can really see all of these beliefs like just like openly in front of this guy, and like he doesn't.
Well, see, that's the thing. In this movie, nobody. It's kind of weird because he came to the island. I feel like everybody's like, well, he wanted to come here so bad. Like nobody like switches up their act for this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, everybody
just does what they would usually do.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be there. And like I think, spoiler alert for the end or whatever like that. I think as soon as he gets onto the island, everybody's like, well, he's not leaving, so like we can just do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You know, like they know. Like for a fact that he's like not going to leave the island.
Yeah. He tends to.
Everybody kind of gets a little bit book wild. Everybody just does their thing.
Yeah.
But he goes in during this scene and goes into the back. What's the other daughter's name? I don't have that note.
I actually have no idea. I just know her as the imposter Rowan Morrison.
Yeah. So he like goes into the back. He's going in. He's kind of like going through the shop, whatever, and then just goes in the back. And he's talking to this little girl in back of shop who is, Rowan's mother's quote other daughter, air quotes. And he's like, do you know Rowan? And she's like, yeah, of course I do, bro. And then he like sits down beside her and also does this thing that I never understood how people could do. They're both painting, like they're both coloring in the same rabbit.
Oh God, I hate that.
Like that would piss me off, bro. And she's like, yeah, you paint it in gray, and she's painting it in brown.
Yeah.
Like this picture's look terrible, child. This picture's gonna look awful. But she's like, Rowan is in the fields or whatever like that. And he's like, what? And she's like, and she basically implies that like Rowan is the hare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I like. I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, because
that kind of vague about it.
that plays into the whole transmutation thing. Not necessarily reincarnation, but like it's because they very much believe in like alchemical transmutation and physical change from one life to the next. So because it's like what the teacher says later on, that they believe. And she says it very strategically,
rather than resurrection.
Exactly. They because like the children have a very kind of strange view of death, and then the teacher, she tries to explain it in a way that the body goes into the ground, but it becomes the rock, it becomes the tree, it becomes, I sound like Pocahontas now, it like sounds like loads of different things, and I just think like that's very close to my own beliefs. Like you become part of the earth again.
I feel like you you like return back to nature and you become all these other things. Like that's the thing, it's like I don't believe that like when I die, I directly just turn into a tree. But it's like, no, but like when I die, my like, my like nutrients will like go out and like help. I was gonna say help fund a tree, help like a tree grow, or help like whatever animals like eat me up. Like it helps their life kind of like go ahead, and like that makes me very like comfortable.
Yeah,
you know, they said that like the children don't really like to think of the idea of like a rotting body in the ground. They want to like kind of get rid of that element, and like that's why they teach the children what they do. Yeah, I feel because like we're both Irish, or like I feel like it'll be like elements in this movie are like easier to take. Like they don't seem so strange, but I can picture like an American, especially like in the time that this was released, I can see an American kind of being like, what the fuck? Or even like a Christian being kind of like, what the fuck? Because I know like I was never raised like super religious. I sought religion out because I found it interesting, but like it was never like given to me. Do you know what I mean? So like I feel like some of the elements in this movie, they don't seem as crazy or out there or as wacky as I think.
Yeah, and I think it's also just due to the fact that we are Irish, so like a lot of like our current say mainstream Christian or Catholic beliefs are heavily based off of traditional pagan beliefs. So things like obviously Christmas and Easter and things like that, these are all dates and times that are meant to cover up what originally were our pagan holidays, or sorry, pagan ritual times, because May Day and everything happens around
like
that time.
like even like Halloween, like Samhain.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to that, literally every single year it gets to around, and I'm like, give me one drink, and I'm throwing wine all down my arm about telling people about like, yeah, did you know that Halloween was Irish first? Bitch. I'm like sitting there with like it's like dinner with my grandparents or whatever. You know?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Seriously, it's like even a lot of and this happened like in a lot around the world. Sorry, this is like kind of like a little detour. This happened like a lot around the world, where you find that a bigger major religion will or at least a more kind of aggressive religion at the time will like come in, and instead of fully converting over, they'll kind of adapt whatever the native religion is of that area, i.e. paganism for us, and kind of incorporate it into their own mythos, I guess, i.e. Saint Bridget for us. Listeners who aren't from Ireland or even specifically live in Kildare or anything, she's the patron saint of Kildare. She was but she's also a pagan saint, and she was told she could have as much land as her cloak could cover, and she threw her cloak down on the ground, and it stretched out and covered all of Kildare.
Yeah.
Hence why she's our patron saint. But yeah, she started out as a pagan saint, and it was just incorporated in. You find that a lot with Mary as well. The imagery of Mary being incorporated into a lot of major world religions that might not have necessarily started out that way.
Yeah. So we literally get to the first kind of like red herring.
You might as well have just gone. Great. Anyway. Thank you for that colorful speech on religion. Anyway, back to what we were talking about.
It's so true, though. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, practically half of this film, you and me were looking at going, that's. I know that. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at it going, like, that's practically shit that we used to do when we were fucking younger. Or at least when I used to do back in pre-colonialist Ireland, you know, being ancient as I am. But like the kind of first like real red herring that we get is he goes to an inn and what's the name of the fucking inn? The Green Man, Inn. Like,
yeah,
if you're looking for a real like fucking like a real red herring, literally look no further than that fucking name, bro, because if you know anything about the Green Man, you definitely fucking know, like, you should not be there. You really should not be there. He notices...
But I love this. This place to me is, like, no joke, it's exactly my logo.
Yeah.
Like, it's exactly that same kind of vibe where it's like, and like I feel like we get this a lot in movies, like this kind of trope where like he walks in, it's very American Werewolf in London, where like the music stops because like it's not like, but we don't get the like the record scratch, because it's like it's music in scene, like the people in the scene are the ones like providing the music, which also is very like very Enfield, very like where I live, like
you also
like live entertainment, all that kind of stuff.
What you're kind of looking at, right, is like you're literally just waiting for that one shot of the man with the cigarette that's just like he's just doing one long inhale while he's staring at the policeman, and it's just one big huge fucking cigarette.
Like, it's like the dark, like a player, and he like stops and just turns his head quick. He walks in, doesn't say anything, and still everybody gives him the energy of like, what did you just fucking say?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't say anything, you know?
It's like super dead quiet. It might as well like have been like, you know, when in American Werewolf they had like the pentagram on the wall. It might have been like, what's with the Green Man over there? What's with the naked people over? You know what I mean? Like it might as well have been that. And like when he just arrives, like you said it, like he might as well have met the gayest barkeeper you could possibly come across.
Willow doll, how are you doing, gal? Like literally, this dude, this fairy of a landlord, this fruit. Oh my god, bro. I couldn't get over it. I could not get over it. That's like literally like one of the first notes I have is this gay ass landlord of this fucking pub. And with his daughter Willow, and oh my god, this lady is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But she's like
stunning.
Very distinctly like 70s beautiful, where she's got like, I'm gonna like gay out about this woman for a sec, where she's got like
Annie Ross is her name,
but like really like pale blonde hair, and like she's got like I don't know, I love this woman.
Yeah
She's so pretty.
He also notes that he's looking at these photographs of the harvest, the May Queens. Diana May Queen. When he notices like each year straight up bar the previous year, that photograph has mysteriously disappeared, and the gayest bartender says like it broke, and it's not fair, and blah blah blah. And then he passes around that like
stiff-elbowed, limp-wristed arm across the room and said, "It's broken, doll." Yeah.
He
I was doing a dip in his spoon the other day and it broke off the wall. Yeah.
He was doing a drag performance on the bar and slipped.
Yeah, exactly.
Kaka boom smash.
Yeah.
All of that, yeah. Can you imagine that? Green Man in drag night. Yeah, go with it.
Would you be surprised?
Not really, to be fair. I mean, Cher shows up later on, so why not? Anytime
but
there's...
It's not even Cher, it's... yeah, okay, I'll say that when we get there.
And you'll get it now when we talk about it later. We'll put it up on the pod, trust. Like, every time... like, you know, every time there's this much like pagan gay energy in the room, Cher automatically manifests, so that's the answer.
She's literally, oh my god, like well behind. I literally just had to move my head slightly across the frame, and Saint Cher is there behind me.
So basically, like when he's like had enough, he can't deal with this shit, because like all of the stuff, oddly enough, is because it makes sense later on, but they say like he's like eating, and like none of his food is
Oh, he notices it's all canned.
yeah, it's all canned food.
I love
Yeah,
that little
like
touch.
none of it is fresh. And he says, like, I thought you were like a
No
farming
apples?
island, no apples, no fresh apples
Yeah.
or anything. And she's like, no, no, and she just fucks off.
Yeah, literally, she's like, they must have all been exported. Anyway,
Yeah.
but then he's like, what does he even have on his plate? He has like,
It's potatoes
uh,
and like these
some like
weird
boiled
beans.
potatoes and
Yeah,
some beans, and he's like, "Are those beans supposed to be turquoise or whatever like that?"
yeah,
And she's like, "Huh? Maybe things in their most natural state are in their most beautiful or whatever like
yeah.
that."
She's so dismissive of him, like, and she just fucks off. Oh, it's so funny. I
This
just
lady,
can't.
like, she always gives me the vibe that she like just had like a fatty like right before she like came in on set. You know what I mean? It's the '70s though. I mean, hey, you know.
Well, it's not wrong. It ain't wrong. It really isn't.
No, but I love it. She's like, she's so dismissive or whatever like that. And he's like, I'll have an apple. And she's like, no apples. And then he's like, well, I'm going to bed. He's like, I want my room. And then like the way this is set up, like fucking annoys the shit out of me, right? Because like the way you get upstairs is you have to walk in like behind the bar, in like through the back, and
Yeah,
then upstairs.
yeah,
I
yeah,
hate that. I
yeah.
hate that.
It's
It's
so
very
weird.
big.
It's just like I said this earlier, but like it's such a sort of surreal film, and it's very dreamlike, and like nothing particularly scary or horror wise really kind of happens until the last 30 minutes of the film.
No,
Um,
everything is just sus. Everything is just
yeah,
suspect as
everything
fuck.
is just weird, or at least because he's a conservative Christian man who is a
Yeah.
virgin, and like he's never experienced any of this kind of like way outside the box type of belief system that's so
Yeah.
it's so far removed from what his real beliefs are, and
Which is weird.
so
This
at
movie, the
odds.
movie before he actually goes anywhere, I think opens up with him in church,
Well, singing
like
hymns, yeah.
in the middle of a ritual,
Hmm.
which something I actually did remember from last time I saw it was with his fiance. He's like engaged to a woman, and
Yeah,
he's like they have like a little interaction. But like I think kind of drawing that parallel between him thinking that they're like freakish for doing all this stuff, and it's like, but like you also have rituals
yeah.
and ceremonies that you go through,
That's a
you
point
know?
that Lord Summerisle actually makes later on in the film, that like our rituals are similar to yours, we just do them in a different way. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just so interesting. But the
And
soundtrack,
before we move on, we also get another song here, The
I
Landlord's
was
Daughter,
just about
which
to
is
say
so
that.
good.
Yeah,
Performed by this like again, I love everybody in this movie. I think like some people in this movie are so fucking cute. This one dude in particular as well. This like big Viking looking dude. He's like this huge guy, huge beard, like arms like fucking like table legs, like they're fucking massive.
yeah.
Um, and he's kind of just like bouncing around the like pub or whatever like that while Edward Woodward is like standing right there. They're like singing like right into his face.
It's just so
He kind
strange.
of just stands the whole time and takes it.
Like it's just like there's so many songs in this film. Like you mentioned earlier, like it's almost a musical with the amount of songs that there is in this film, and
I
how
would
many
say so.
scenes are
And because like the
dedicated
music
to it.
isn't just music. The music like delivers the story. I
Yeah,
think if you had no music in this movie, you're missing out on some storytelling,
yeah.
genuinely. Like
What
the
do we
music
have?
does
We
genuinely
have
further along the story.
we have that 18th century poet Burns, and he created the song, or the poem actually, Corn Rigs, and then obviously
Yeah.
Summer Is a Coming In, which is the last song, spoiler alert, as Sergeant Howie is burnt alive. Yeah,
Barley rigs and corn rigs are bonny. Yeah.
but then that sort of moves into this whole kind of, again, like a very dreamlike sequence where he gets pissed off or something like that, and he goes outside for fresh air, and he just like finds like all of these
There's like
people
two making out.
orgying.
There's two making out, and he just walks straight out past them. And then I even said this to the other day after like rewatching this. The way that it's lit is so weird. It like he walks out right, and it's all dark. And then it looks like somebody opens a door out onto this field because like the way the light happens, it doesn't just like flash on. It's
Yeah, it
like
looks like someone
it
opened a
comes
door
across.
and the light is spilling through onto all
And
these
there's
like
all these straight people
couples.
everywhere just having sex all over the place right in front of him. And he kind of just stands there and
He
watches.
just
He doesn't really do
stares.
anything. And he walks out like right up to them. But on his way there, there's a lady who's by herself, who's naked as fuck, who's holding onto a
Yeah,
gravestone,
she's
like onto a
crying or
tombstone. Who's like,
laughing.
or laughing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know where
I
she's
couldn't
literally just like
tell.
onto the tombstone. It's fucking crazy. But again, he doesn't do anything about it. He kind of just like
He's
stands there and watches a little bit, and then
he
goes back to his room.
when he like goes back, like he almost sort of looks. I don't know if you noticed it, but it looks like he was angry. You know what I mean? Like he was looking at them. He was surprised, shocked, and then he looked angry as he was walking back to the pub.
Well, see, I think there's this kind of like weird thing where he's not played typically in the way that you would picture a Christian being, where he's not outraged. You can tell that he's like he is tempted throughout this movie a lot, and I don't mean like somebody is like trying to tempt him. You can tell that he like is kind of jealous, kind of like wants to join in a
Yeah,
way, but he can't because he's a engaged and b Christian.
yeah,
Um, and we get that a lot, that you feel like he's kind of like, should I or shouldn't I? Because like all these opportunities are kind of granted to him. We'll get it like very very explicitly. I think the next time he goes to bed, we get a lot of exposition. This is where we're actually introduced to Christopher Lee right after when he goes back up into his room,
Lord Summerisle.
where
Thank you.
Christopher Lee in this movie has a blowout. He's got a like a Marilyn Monroe blowout that like comes out and curls underneath. Like they have Christopher Lee fully wigged in this movie, and he's not alone. Um, so we get him. He kind of brings this boy to Willow's
It's
window.
Willow, yeah.
He's like, I brought you a boy or whatever like that, and she's like, great. And then they kind of like they have this exchange that
It's
basically
like,
just
come
tells,
on up, come on.
yeah, they have this exchange that just tells Howie like something is going on, something is very suspicious over here. Did you hear that? Great, let's behave weirdly. You know, like they just, which I kind of like. I actually like the idea that everybody is really not even remotely trying to hide anything,
Yeah.
because they already know like the ultimate end.
Yeah.
You know? Like he's already fucked. He's already stuck there.
They
Yeah, then we get the next morning. He's like kind of wandering through the village, and this place is gorgeous. This place is really, really nice. It's very homely. Homely is like a word for ugly. It's like it's very like comfortable. It feels very small townish, which
Yeah.
again is like very like comforting to me, I guess, or like to us because we grew up in small towns. And he goes into his school and like um just loses his shit basically. He walks into this lady who's wearing a wig. She's wearing a fall. And
It's
she's
Amy
got
Winehouse.
her whole head of hair is on show with the fall in the back. She's just got like, and like I love that. Like it's very very 60s, to just have a whole other wig. But it's like, could you match it, please? You're wearing a 613, and this is not a 613. Okay. And he goes in and he's talking to all these girls, and there's like there's one seat that's like empty, like right in the middle of the classroom.
Yeah.
Where we get that like fucking like wacky ass song. Yeah, he walks in and like the intro to this whole scene is somebody's playing the mouth harp that are like boing, like, which I always associate with Australia. Like,
Yeah.
I don't associate that with like Europe at all. But like, yeah, all these kids are basically kind of getting their like
All the boys are
life
basically being
lesson.
told how to fuck. Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
this
If you want
is
to know
how
how
you
to fuck,
fuck.
honey, listen to this song. They're talking about like seeds, and this kind of gives me like what is it? Oh, they're all in at the Bogdan, and
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's like the kind of equivalent that I get from this.
Yeah.
But then we kind of see like these are all boys. These are like the boys in the like from the class or whatever.
Yeah.
Just spinning around the maypole, very classic. And then he goes into the classroom where all the girls are, and he's kind of like trying to like suss things out with the teacher, and she's like, he keeps asking people questions, and they're like, yeah, but what about this? And he's like, no. What about what I asked you though? Like people just keep trying to like not avoid the question where he's like, is she dead? And she's like, in a way, you know, like he cannot get like a yes or no. But then he's like kind of going around and he wants to like look at the desks and all this shit, and then he opens the desk and there's a beetle. There's like a nail in the middle of the desk, and then there's a beetle tied to the nail with a string. And they're all like, ha, yeah, when the beetle like walks around enough times, it'll like get pulled right up to the thing, poor thing. And then he's like, and you would just let that happen, blah, 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 blah. And then he doesn't help the beetle.
Yeah.
And he doesn't
walks away.
He just closes the lid back down.
They find
and then
out
he basically starts being like, all this bacon shit is fucking gross. Can you step outside, please? And she's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go outside.
Step outside, please. I can't deal with your pagan bullshit. Come out here. Come out. Let's be Christian. Let's be good. Let's do this. Let's talk straight. Pagan.
It's crazy, yeah. And then he's basically like, where is she? And she's like, where isn't she? You know, is she dead? Like, in a way, you know.
Yeah.
Is she buried in the cemetery? I guess you could say something like that, something similar to this. And then this is where she's basically like, listen, we don't do that Christian shit here. There's a Christian church here, but we don't use that for this. You know? She's like, that's from times ago. We don't fuck with that Christian shit.
Yeah.
By the way, fuck Jesus. And,
they say everything except fuck Jesus, basically. Well, no, Summerisle says it later.
We basically get that said outright later when we get to Christopher Lee's house.
Christopher Lee's house.
So what, idiot? I'm not going to call him Lord Summerisle. So we get to this, and my first thought when he gets, like, he, like, goes to the graveyard, my first thought is, hi, Mr. Deltoid.
This is, my God, yeah. That freaky,
Alex is, like, caseworker or whatever from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex, yes! You've been a very good boy, yes!
Yeah.
It's like, very that. This guy is so gross.
He's just so weird, and like the fact that they find an umbilical cord literally tied around a tree stump, and
like, wow, it looks like a piece of skin, and you're like, well, it is, of course.
It's just
and
so
he's
weird.
Like touching it with his hands and shit, and then he's like, it's totally an umbilical cord, and then he kind of like
slowly
like lets it go. Yeah.
This is something I wanted to say about. I mean, apart from like anything else, this is something that you're first just like, oh, something is definitely wrong here. Yeah.
But he doesn't even like, what the fuck is this? He kind of just like,
he's like, oh,
strange. Yeah, he kind of just like, wow, that's a little odd.
Yeah.
You know, but I hate this graveyard. This graveyard is like, it's so awkwardly placed between like. It looks like it's like set up inside the ruins of an old building, but like that makes no sense. Like you would have it in like a big open space where it's like it looks like you can only fit like 12 graves in this before you can't walk in it anymore. It's it's crazy looking. Yeah,
this is true. I absolutely think that the fact that was put back in is because this is one of those cuts. Apparently there was up to 7 cuts of this film made specifically in order to cater to sort of, again, like this is before the era of the video nasties that we're speaking about in our topic episode, that things sort of had to be kind of cut down or sort of overlooked. So scenes like this. And also, there was this snail scene, this snail fucking another snail scene put into the film, while you can hear the sex moans coming out of the
This is
pub.
Literally a Bjork video.
Yeah.
Like when we see the snails fucking. Like, literally no joke. This is Any gays out there, is this not the fucking video for like what is it, Lost?
Yeah.
Where it's like Bjork is like turning into a slug and turning back out of a slug.
Yeah.
It's very that. But like we get this, yeah, we kind of get that in place of seeing Rowan fuck a 14-year-old. Not Rowan, in place of seeing Willow fuck a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Apparently, the original cut of the film. Now, when you and I watched this film, we watched it with a version that literally had the old, unedited, deleted scenes spliced into the film. And you could see it. You could see it very obviously. Yeah. The original, apparently, this is the weirdest thing, because when Christopher Lee was promoting the film, Lord Summerisle, when he was promoting the film, they had to like have like basically the thing that the company of the films that were like, they were getting taken over by another film because the company was being bought out. And the original. Did you
see that, like at the very start of this? Sorry, that it was a Summerisle production.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I love that. I think it's so good. But apparently, the original negative of the film was lost. Right now, here's the weirdest part. Apparently, now this is just a rumor. Apparently, it may lie under the M3 highway in England. Like, because it was a landfill, that area at first, and then apparently all the old like the producer Peter Snell, I think his name was, they were moving all this stuff, but apparently it got lost at some point, and it may have ended up in a landfill underneath the M3 highway, which is fucking crazy to me. Like, some randomer could come across the original cut of the Wicker Man, which is so crazy to me. I think that's so cool.
I'm actually very grateful that the cut that we both saw, because I was very like, we were very kind of specific about that, because I was like, this is another like Blade Runner situation where it's like, what cut are we gonna watch? Like, what is like the definitive version? And I actually like that we see, we can see the dip in quality where the original kind of. I'm not even going to say remaster. It's like where somebody has managed to save like remnants of like what was left and splice them in. Because it's kind of interesting to see when that dip in quality happens. You're like, this movie would be so fucking weird without this scene in it.
Yeah.
You know? Or like, again, like if you cut out the music, the music is like half the delivery system to tell you what's going on.
Yes.
Or if you cut out certain scenes, then it's like, well, then nobody looks suspicious. Why would he?
Yeah, it's almost like the delivery of the songs, and then obviously like certain scenes where we do get, when we meet Lord Summerisle, where we meet Christopher Lee, the women dancing and jumping over the flames, that you get this sort of sense that it's the only way you can sort of deliver either plot or underlying themes of they're not the same as you. And you don't know what their purpose is, but you get the sense that there's this sort of engrossing feel where you are definitely on your own on this island. If you
visually, they kind of do a good job with that, because he's a policeman. He's always dressed as such, and he sticks out. I wish it would stick in. It is so cute. But that was so gross. I would let this man hit me. So, but yeah, no, we do get very much so. And see, like, I think for the direction of the remake with the American thing, I think it would have suited best if they were gonna stick with Nicolas Cage and have it be an American thing. I think it still would have served best to have an American go to these islands, go to Scotland, go to Wales, come to Ireland, because that would serve the story best, because the accent is so different, you know. But because he's also Scottish, because like that's the thing, it's like he kind of came from like over there, like he's really not even like that, like he's really not even that distant from that.
Well, you know,
Oh,
it's interesting that you should say that because that's the actual plot of the sequel, The Wicker Tree. It's two evangelist Christians from America go to Summerisle. They literally go
yeah.
to that. So you can, especially if you do end up watching that film and we do end up, that is something that I really want to get into because that, like, there's such a clear
I don't think
divide.
this is the sequel that you want to talk about, but like, fuck Jaws too. Fuck Aliens, you know what I mean? But like The Wicker Tree, you should see the
Well, no, it's
Wicker Tree, bro.
if
It's Christopher
anything,
Lee for a minute.
if anything from that film that you would collect is that very clear differentiation, and then obviously that it doesn't just go into dancing around the maypole, it goes into like almost Neolithic pagan beliefs as well, which is really, really interesting. So if you've got an hour and you're not interested about anything else, go watch it because it's worth at least one watch anyway. Pause.
There
Not
you go,
interested, yeah.
That was an awkward pause right there.
Well, anyway.
Okay, so after he goes to like after he's like been to Rowan's burial plot and all this good stuff, and even after he finds the hair in it, he kind of is just like, oh no, this is so good. After he finds the hair, he goes to Lord Summerisle's house. You're welcome.
Yeah. I knew you'd cave.
I want this house so bad. And
it's beautiful.
He's like playing piano or whatever with this lady on the floor, who I think is the teacher.
I think so.
Yeah, because I kind of get the sense that she's like important because
she's one of those.
Where he's like, everybody on this island is fucking crazy and like lying or whatever like that. You most of all because you're the one teaching the children this.
Yeah.
Which
he just
I kind of like that she's like kind of like a female leader in a way, but then he just walks into this
and he fucks the hair at them,
like right down in the middle, and neither of them flinch, and she's like lying on the floor right where it is, and she kind of just
unbothered by literally anything.
And they're like having this little like sing song get together thing. There's like a lot of music that I'm like not going to mention in this just because if we did, we would have to do it in literally every single scene. Like we get that song Gently Johnny, I believe that was originally cut out of the movie.
Yes, it was.
And then back in, which I like. It's kind of one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack, but I like that it's spliced in when Willow is taking that 14-year-olds for chicken kind of thing, but I like it because it's like it's very sweet, and we get this idea that that is her job, and it seems to be kind of like that's the traditional role of the landlord's daughter, is to kind of serve this purpose. But like she also seems like happy to do it. Like it doesn't seem like
it doesn't seem like she's being forced to do it or blah blah blah. She wants to actively contribute to the community per se.
Exactly, and like everybody on this island seems to kind of like you don't get any sense of anybody is doing this against their will. Everybody is doing it just because it's like that's how they've done it, and they've said it like they say it a couple of times in this movie where it's just like, look, this is how we've done it for like as long as anybody can remember. So like, why are you coming in and questioning us?
Yeah, you see, that's something that I actually do find really interesting is because it's directly kind of said by Christopher Lee, Lord Summerisle's character, that I think he said his great-great-grandfather was the one who...
It's just his grandfather.
Yeah, he grew strains of plants that aren't native to Scotland, or at least native to Summerisle in Scotland, the fabled Summerisle. It's not a real place. That weren't native to the island, and over the generations from his grandfather down, they eventually started to embrace more of the pagan tradition beliefs because something
like
about it.
I think he says the line that I gave them back their old gods. Which I love.
I think it's because it says so much about the character because I think it's so interesting, and I love the fact that Christopher Lee's character is confronted about it at the end, where how he does pointedly go, they'll come for you next when the crop fails, and it's only true.
And he kind of has that moment of like,
oh,
well, don't say that. That won't happen.
Like
so he's not sure.
he
because
takes.
like we get the sense that he himself doesn't actually believe in the old gods.
Yes,
And like,
yes,
see, I think that that's kind of, I've seen people say that like that makes Christopher Lee kind of like a villain even amongst his own people, but like
yes,
I don't get that, because like they all respect Lord Summerisle and don't see it as like a he's holding us here hostage, or like we owe
yeah,
him anything,
yeah,
because it's like um having these things back, like your old gods or like an old religion, um it kind of like boosts morale for
yeah,
everybody. Like, not
yeah,
only does it actually like make people work harder willingly,
yeah,
um which again, like, that's the key word, is willingly, like nobody is being forced to do anything, um and the fact that evidently it like if
it
like
works. Yeah.
it's
That's actually sort of another point that I really wanted to discuss, was how, just like you said earlier, how polar opposite Christianity was, because in with Lord Summerisle, I mean, on the physical plane per se, in the material world, he is a lord, therefore he is of higher status just in the material world. But when it comes to paganism, he's not a high priest. He's not anything. He's just another person of the people that they happen to look up to. And
yeah,
his
I like that, the idea
grandfather,
that again it's all kind of like a mutual respect thing. It's
yes,
not like he is our king and we
yeah,
like pay taxes to him or anything like that. It's like, well, he's just like the heir to the island. Like, it's his
yes,
family that like brought everybody here.
yeah,
So it is kind of like a, yeah, like it's not like a bow down kind of a thing. It's just like, this is the dude that like represents us. He's like our elected official,
yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Because
It's
you get the sense that it's like, yeah, people have him in there because they want him there. If they didn't want him in that position, they could very easily remove him from that. Because as far as I can see, he's the only Summerisle on the island. Like, nobody else is there, like, as part of the family. Everybody seems to. It's very definitely like a community,
yeah,
like where it's everybody. Like, and I love that everybody has their own role,
yeah,
down to Willow. It's like, not only is she like a barmaid, but she also is just like the lady that you go to lose your virginity. And
yes,
like, I think like having little tasks in that in community is like very beautiful and very traditional.
absolutely. I do also want to say, I think it's absolutely amazing, right? Is that Christopher Lee, right up until that point, he had been playing Dracula in all the Hammer horror films.
Hammer horror movies, yeah.
Absolutely love. Like, if you guys want us to review any of the Hammer horror films, by all means, let us know in the comments, because you
Not
and
just
I
the Dracula
love them.
series though. Hammer horror has like
So
40 fucking
many.
Dracula
Oh,
movies. I'm
love
not
it.
about to do it. Like Curse of Dracula, and Death of Dracula, and Dracula Rises Again, and Dracula Rides Out, and Dracula
Blood of Dracula,
freaking
Son of
Dawn
Dracula,
of
Bride of
Justice.
Dracula. Yeah, all
Yeah,
of that. Yeah.
Dracula Endgame. I'm not about to do all those.
Actually, I'll tell you what. There is one that I really want to see. Retrospect is The Devil Rides Out, which is your quintessential satanic panic movie, and I absolutely love it because that ending to that is fucking classic. Love that movie.
Yeah.
But
Or Black Sunday.
oh, Black Sunday, yes,
Yeah.
I love it. I just want to say that, like, Christopher Lee, he wanted to distance himself so much from those films that he willingly accepted the starring role as Lord Summerisle for free. He did not get paid any royalties or even for the acting job itself. He did it for free, and I absolutely, like, I think that's so
And I
brave
can
and so
see
cool.
how he would very easily, or how people would very easily expect him to make this guy into like another Dracula type, another monstrous type. But he's like, I don't know, it's like he's like disarmingly positive in this movie,
Yes,
where like you feel like it's not scary at all. He's like
he's
kind
very
of,
benevolent.
yeah, and like he's very attractive. I don't even mean like physically as well, which he is. My note is what is
You'd
it?
climb him like a tree, wouldn't you?
Eternal sex beast Christopher Lee. Like, that's when we get his first intro, and this is him in a knee-high sock and a kilt with a blowout,
Oh my
like, and it's fully wigged. But like,
I'm just describing
there's
you
something about him in this
as
movie that is so like enigmatic that you kind of like,
you
yeah, like, you're like
gravitate
drawn to
towards
him
him.
in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's
You're
so attractive, and he's like he's very tall and kind of fatherly, and
Yeah.
he's got like like he's got like the Christopher Lee's voice and Christopher Lee's face.
You're a monkey. You would climb him like a fucking tree if you were asked to.
I would climb it like a tree and throw shit everywhere. I freaking love Christopher Lee. Okay, dude, it's so beautiful.
Oh my god!
We could literally do like an entire episode on just Christopher Lee. The dude had like that's a fucking autobiography. I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see that made a movie.
I think that's a good topic discussion right there. Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
that's a good one right there.
Had, like kind of an epic life. I'm not even about to try and go into it all here.
Yeah.
I think it would have been very easy for him to get typecasted as Dracula, which to an extent he did, but he also did a lot that wasn't even in movies.
Yeah.
I love that I'm not going to go into it here, and I'm going into it. But no, I think Christopher Lee is perfect in this role. Because he's not, I don't find him threatening in this, which is
like he's
threatening in of itself, because with Christopher Lee you expect him to be kind of outrightly scary or outrightly offensive in a way, but no, I think he's perfect for Lord Summerisle in this movie.
Yeah, the whole kind of idea that he's sort of like the least threatening person in the film, I want to say, because with his character, he has the least to do with the plot. He's just sort of there, and then we see him at the end, because
he's just the landowner.
Like, yeah, he's just the landowner, so like he doesn't really have anything to do with Howie's death until the moment where he says, "You were the one chosen," at the very end. You know what I mean? Like, so you have no reason to see Lord Summerisle as threatening or at least malevolent in any way apart from the final scenes of the film, you know? I just think that's funny.
Because to him, because he's not a pagan and because he's not worshipping the old gods genuinely, he has the least stakes in Howie's story. He benefits the least and gains the least, because like it kind of has nothing to do with him. This sacrifice is for everybody else. Spoiler alert. Well, not even spoiler alert. We already kind of said that like he gave these people back their old gods. Like they're not his gods in a way. So, you know, he's kind of just there. He kind of just presides over everything, kind of keeps everything in order. Which I feel like is kind of like why the island is running so well, because it's not like run by everybody like this, because there's kind of like there's somebody on the outside to kind of keep perspective, you know?
Yeah. So when kind of Howie kind of like starts, he doesn't really kind of get inklings really, even up until this point where he's seen some weird shit already. He's still kind of two minds of like, is Rowan dead? Is she not dead? Did she exist at all at this point? And he doesn't really kind of find anything until he finds that missing photograph. I think it's through the photographer that says he doesn't have the negatives of that photograph from last year's harvest. But he finds, I can't remember, how does he find it? But he finds Rowan as the May Queen of the May Day festivals, like that harvest. And she's standing in that photograph with boxes of empty fruit baskets.
Very happily though. She's
like
what's up amongst like what is like the representation for this island of like hunger and like suffering is like no crops, and then like we see like kind of dotted around this movie canned food, which I really like that little touch, because it's a very good way to tell you like
they're meant to be a producing island and they're not producing anything.
Exactly, like the entire point of this is fresh fruit and produce and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I think at the beginning of the film,
why is everything?
Sorry, go on. Yeah, no, go on.
Yeah, it's like if everything is supposed to be fresh from this island, then why is everybody eating canned things? It's just another very subtle, because they don't outrightly tell you these things at the start, which I really like. It kind of adds to the whole like mystery kind of suspicion thing. But it's weird. It's like I'm kind of like I'm not like vilifying anybody in this movie. I'm not kind of against anybody. You know?
Yeah, like I mean,
like everybody's just kind of going to their best of their beliefs, and even at the end, ultimately, I feel terrible for Howie, which is not usually my MO, to feel bad for the Christian slash a kind of like stiff upper lip, like very like normal. When I say straight, I don't mean heterosexual. I mean like very like straight laced, very like traditional in like his own sense of tradition, not in these people's senses. So yeah.
I tend to think that when we like specifically with paganism and things like that, definitely with connotations of like, you know, modern beliefs of what Christianity is and then modern beliefs of what paganism is, there's definitely a lot more acceptance now than what there was, let's say 10-15 years ago, or even less time than that. Like, it's still sort of askew where like you tend to think anything to do with paganism or this is sacrificing a pig or you know, dancing around a fire at midnight with a pentagram, when it's really, I mean, dancing around a fire naked and things like that, that is explained when Lord Summerisle says that it's a fertility ritual, like that the fire god.
Would you rather jump over a fire with your clothes on?
Yeah, like he makes that
point,
you know. That. And the fact that Howie still turns around and goes, yeah, but they wouldn't, why would they do that? Because blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And he says that, would the Christian beliefs not have this kind of thing? And he just goes, well, the Christian God has had his time and all this kind of thing, and it failed.
Was a great Christopher Lee right there. That was great. Yeah, he basically says, and I love this line, and I even said this to you last night. My mom used to say this to me all the time, because again, like, we're not religious at all.
Yeah.
Where he's like, Jesus is dead. Like, he had his time. You know? I kind of like, or he had his shot and he blew it. I love that. But like, even as Christopher Lee is saying that, I don't take that as like, fuck your God. I kind of take that as like, well, look.
Well, we did try it, and it didn't work. For us. Yeah.
Exactly, like, this is exactly what works for us. And again, like, evidently, like, proof that it does work, because they can grow these, like, fruits on this island that, like, they're kind of not supposed to be able to. Yeah. So, like, I can see why...
Well, he actually makes it
they're, like, more convicted in their faith. Like, they don't ever vary in their beliefs, whereas, like, Howie has a couple of moments where, like, that dude gets a boner for somebody else that is not his fiancée.
Yeah.
He wants it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's also a point to be made, because you just said there, like, there are fruits and things like that and vegetables that that can't be grown on that island, and Howie actually makes a point of that, because Summerisle says that some of the fruits and vegetables and things like that, they're sort of hybrids of other creations and things like that, and I think he says something about volcanic soil or a need for volcanic soil for something. So of course, like, these crops are going to
exactly
fail.
What he
They're
says
not
when they
strong
have their
enough.
little, like, kind of tour.
Yeah, he like goes into that.
Also, very quickly, this island, half of it, like, half of these shots look like they're in, like, Spain, or like Dominican Republic or something, because it's like the grass is completely different. There's like palm trees, and like it's like, did they just like fully step into Jurassic Park here for a moment? Like, the landscape and the like the foliage everywhere just looks completely different. But I kind of like that, though. We get a lot of that, like, in the intro as well, like, as corn rakes and all that shit is happening. We see that, like, it gives us kind of the idea that this island is genuinely unique to like in and of itself, that like the like the perfect mix of like volcanic ash and like the earth itself allows this particular island to grow kind of odd things, which I like. It makes it a little bit more like mystical, which I feel like this movie is actually kind of lacking in a lot. I think, like, that was part of what I remembered more of as like a kid, was that, like, this movie was a little bit more like magical, kind of outrightly. You know?
I do think, like, especially as like time starts to technically wind down for him, he starts to, like you just said, they're more mystical. He starts to like notice like a lot more weirder shit going on. Especially like because he goes to I think it's like the local library or something that like practically tells him like what we said. Do you remember when we said it in Hereditary, if Toni Collette's character had it just like looked under the book? That she would have
it's just
seen
where
the
he
last
goes in,
20
he
minutes
goes
of the
into
script.
this place, and there's a lady there who's literally like Swedish or something. She's like, she's fully Agnetha from ABBA.
Yeah.
By the way, like, so many people in you can tell when somebody is Scottish and when somebody is not Scottish.
Yeah.
Like half of the people in this movie are dubbed the fuck over,
Yeah.
and it's nearly always women. These women with like bright blue hair or bright
Yeah.
with blue eyes and like really pale blonde hair. Same with Willow. Willow is dubbed the fuck over.
Yeah.
Not remotely her voice.
She is
But
Swedish,
basically,
yeah.
everybody's kind of like, oh, I don't know, ask Lord Summerisle. Like when it comes to shit, like, you know, he's like, well, I'm a police officer, and they're like, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
You have to go ask Summerisle. And he's asking for like death files and like certificates and all this kind of shit like that. And kind of gradually, more and more throughout the movie, more people are like, yeah, I knew Rowan. Whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Like people like really are like starting to like give less of a shit, and this is kind of like the second last day on the island. Like this is the day before like their May Day.
Mm-hmm.
So like everybody's kind of like, yeah, whatever, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
I got my fucking costume to make, bro. Get out of my fucking way.
There's so many like certain things that like again, like it's practically everyone is still saying like, I thought you would have been gone by now, or you don't want to be here for tomorrow, wink wink, nudge nudge kind of thing, the whole goddamn time. And he still doesn't get it. And especially after reading this book that literally says like a human is sacrificed, they'll be skinned alive, or the fool, and then there's some other thing, and then the man woman.
He's reading it all like in his head, and then he says something out loud where he's like, "Skin the fool," and then like
the woman's just looking at him
with him, and she's like, why? She like slow turns her way out of the scene.
But he eventually realizes that Rowan is alive, and she's going to be, because this is what kind of propels like that final act of the film where
it's not confirmed for him yet, but he's like, do you know where I think he finds it? I think he finds that picture in the apothecary that sells like foreskin jars and all that kind of stuff. And
do they do that on Amazon?
I can tell you, I can't find foreskins for the life of me anywhere. Like I said to you yesterday, I just pour them in a bowl and eat them like cereal.
Great for arthritis.
But yeah, so he kind of goes back up to Lord Summerisle's house again, and he's basically like, I know what's fucking going on here, or whatever like that. And then he's kind of like trying to talk to him about like Christianity and shit like that, and Christopher Lee's kind of like, get that Christian shit out of here. I don't fucking do that. You know? And he's basically like, well, you're a pagan bitch and I hate you. He's like, God is real, but he's dead. So bye. You know?
Oh my god.
So then he goes back to the tavern, and this is where we get Willow having her like say hello, like her little song, and this is my favorite song on the track. Like I love this song, and she's kind of it's really nice and like kind of like, I'm not gonna say romantic because she's literally trying to like seduce him and he doesn't want to. Except he does, but he doesn't want it. Yeah, because he's like he's profusely sweating and gets up out of bed, and this bed, by the way, doesn't have a pillow in it. What? When he goes to bed the first night, he lies on his arms because there's no pillow in the bed. But then he's kind of like pressing up against the wall that she's like on the opposite side of, and this is the key scene that I remember from being a kid, like watching this movie, and I remember it being kind of the most outrightly magical scene because she's like attracted him.
Yeah, she's sending like these weird
against the wall and stuff.
Yeah, like he's like physically drawn to her. I guess through magic, or like because it's like overtly like saying like he can sense her, or he's drawn to the wall, and he's very he is gyrating up against that wall while this woman is belly dancing for her.
Well, because the song is basically just sing like come to me. Yeah. Like come here. Like she's like drawing him in. And it's great because we don't actually see the actress from the waist down until it's a wide shot and it's not her anymore.
Yeah,
We
that's
see her like gyrating.
I was
Like
just
suddenly
about to say
she's kind of
that.
just strolling around the room and like pressing her boobs up against the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
Great, like great set of boobs. And then it zooms out and we see her just like getting down.
Yeah.
Like she's just shaking it around.
Yeah.
But it's like so not her because they don't ever show the face of the full body.
Yeah. Britt Eklund, who plays the innkeeper's like seductive daughter, was already known as a sex symbol due to previous roles in The Night They Raided Minxies and Get Carter. She agreed to appear topless in The Wicker Man, but refused to let her rear end be shown. So 2 body doubles, an exotic dancer, and an 18-year-old extra were brought in for her like famous dance in the doorway. And her semi-nudity still caused trouble, though, when she later dated Rod Stewart, who reportedly tried to buy up all the film's negatives to destroy them.
But it's weird for the amount of time that we actually see her bottomless.
Yeah,
it's like maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's enough just to see her like kind of like shake it around a little bit, and then that's it.
That wasn't actually like the only thing that was faked. Like her butt was not her butt. That is someone else's butt. Her dialogue and her singing was dubbed over with the voice of a Scottish singer named by the name of Annie Ross. Yeah. She couldn't pull off a passable Scottish accent, so she was dubbed over for most of it.
We just want to use exclusively your image.
Yeah, we just want you as the sex symbol because, you know, you're a sex symbol of the 70s, so...
Oh, no, seriously, she is like quintessential. Like when you see like drawings of like quote unquote sexy women from this time, they look like her.
Yes.
She's kind of Brigitte Bardot in a way, the kind of like fuller lip, fuller cheeks, like the bigger hair.
Yeah.
I love that. I like love how this lady looks.
Yeah. It's basically from there, like a lot of these kinds of things happen in very, very quick succession. Because it's
we're in the 3rd act.
Yeah, like
is the final act.
Yeah, like it's very much like literally 10 minutes of like I want to say like chasing
like
down
his shit and trying to get out of there.
Yeah, like he's ready to leave, but he still, I mean, he's a policeman, he still has a duty to care per se, so he really wants to make sure, he wants to get Rowan out of there. Like he doesn't know where she is, so he like goes on this whole kind of spiel of like emptying every house and inspecting every alleyway to kind of like find any evidence of Rowan, you know, like being
just start walking into people's houses.
Yeah.
Like they open the door and he just like puts his arm in and walks straight past them.
Yeah.
And he's like searching all the houses and he's like, I'll do it if it's the last thing I like do or whatever.
Yeah. It's
and
very
like, ultimately, like I do feel bad for him. Which is like kind of odd, A, because he's like a police officer, and B, because he's kind of like when you get a Christian versus pagan story, it's like I'm never on the Christian side, but it's like he's really like committed to doing like what he believes is right and like what like he's almost kind of willing to look like a fucking idiot just to like save this girl, and like it ultimately is all the more sad. But then when you think about it, it's like we'll get to the end, like because we're like almost there.
We're practically out of here.
I feel less bad for him than I do for Christian Midsummer, and I don't feel bad for Christian in Midsummer.
No, neither do I. He was a fucking prick.
He was a prick, and he actually kind of deserves it. But like with this guy,
he doesn't deserve
it, but
he
ultimately.
Doesn't. Yeah,
I don't even want to victim blame here, but I'm like, ultimately, he puts himself in these positions that ultimately ends up in his demise.
Yeah, it's...
Even though he gets there by doing what he ultimately thinks is right, which is kind of the shitty part about it.
Yeah, it's just, like, in any way that you would slice it, literally, in any way you would slice this, like, when ultimately, like, none of this kind of makes a difference because it was all kind of set in motion from the very beginning. He was told to come there. He gets a letter at the very beginning stating, like, we need you specifically to come
like,
here and find this person. Yeah, like, he was called from the
Which
mainland.
is kind of the weird part where they're like, and you came here of your own accord, and it's like, well, not really.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's the same logic. It's like, oh, well, you were asking for it by wearing that top. It's like, well, no, it's, like, not really at all.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of was not, you were right.
Yeah. But it's like, it is very specific because he comes here willingly. He comes with the power of the king, meaning that he is a lawman. He comes bearing the law. And then he is a fool because he's not part of the religion, and he just does what he's told, and, you know, brought around like the fool. And that's why he's the best of course he's a virgin as well, so it makes more sense.
See, that's why I also get the sense that, like, obviously there would have had to have been a little bit of research done on the residents of Summerisle.
Yeah.
Like, because they, like, actively sought him out. And I think, like, because they obviously would have known his kind of MO, or, like, how he acts in this way, because they needed somebody who wasn't going to just call in backup, who was going to kind of like, do it himself and stick there and really, like, try and like, get the job finished. Shit, I have the hiccups. And again, somebody who is, like, specifically like a virgin, like, Christian, kind of engaged to be married kind of thing, that, like, he fits these specifics. But also, like, that is who he is. He doesn't give up, where even in situations where it would have saved his life, or even to his own detriment, because it actually would have made a lot more sense if he had just brought back up in the first place, or if he had done something else here or there, you know. Ultimately, again, I don't think there's any bad guys. I don't think there's any good guys in this movie either. I don't think it's a good versus bad story.
Yeah, it's more so just a kind of fate story where everyone played into their role, and subsequently the ending happened, you know? Which apparently the producers tried to change the ending. Can you believe this? I'm not even a word of a lie. The studio wanted a more cheerful ending to this film. The executive producer suggested a more...
call it the Wicker Man. If you could have this ending, then there's no Wicker Man.
They wanted a more quote-unquote upbeat ending in which Howie's life is saved, even suggesting that a torrential downpour of rain puts out the fire consuming the Wicker Man. Hardy flatly refused this proposal. I was like, this first of all tells me that either, number one, you were against the paganistic views of the time, or you wanted...
You're saying God is real.
God is real, yeah. And you want the whole kind of Christian belief system to kind of, like, you know, downpour, to literally put out the flames of paganism on the island by torrential downpour. Fucking crazy, dude. And, like, when I heard that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If that had happened, this film would not be the cult classic that it is today. So, like, but also, thank God.
Even if the flames were to be put out, he's still trapped on that island.
Yes, he's still, like, he would have met his death either way. It wouldn't have made a difference. Yeah.
He was going to die by fire or by something. You know, that man was going to die.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all of him, like, raiding everybody's house and shit like that, I think he goes back to the tavern, like, for, like, a little moment, and he's like, all right, like, he needs to go, like, lie down.
He needs to chill.
And
because, like, nothing suspicious is happening.
Like faggy father.
Yeah.
Are, like, kind of creep up the stairs, like seconds after he goes upstairs, and they're like, he's asleep. Like, they're not even whispering. They just have their hands up to their mouth. They're like, he's asleep. Put this big burning hand candle next to his bed, or whatever, like that. he knocks the shit out of this fucking...
That actually is something that's really, really interesting to me. I researched this, and this thing is called the Hand of Glory. okay?
Mhm.
So first of all, just to put this into context, when Howie is quote unquote sleeping, they both like creep up and they stick this hand-shaped candle, literally a hand-shaped candle with all 5 fingers lit at the
And
tips.
we don't actually see it until after he wakes up and
Oh,
like knocks it
yes,
out of the way.
yes. So I put a little bit of kind of like effort into like finding out what the fuck this was. So according to European beliefs, a candle made from the fat of a hanged man, lit and placed as if in a candlestick, is the hand of glory, which comes from the same man as the fat in the candle. It will render any person motionless to whom it was presented to.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's really really well weird. The other kind of thing with this, which really kind of it says the hand of glory also purportedly has the power to unlock any door it comes across. The method of which you can find in the Malleus Maleficarum or the Compendium Maleficarum. So to me, immediately, like, my idea
We need
was,
to do something on those books. Those books are like huge for witchcraft in
yeah,
like a European witchcraft in like the 1600s. Like
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, like most of them were like to like ways of like discovering witches and all of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just it's
Yeah,
super
basically
good.
it's like the Christian's handbook to how to fucking kill witches.
Yeah.
Fuck witches everybody, literally.
Like you said, like Howie basically as soon as he wakes up, whack.
They like whacks
Throws
it away. There's so many moments where we get, because he's not British, but we get somebody like, what's all this thing? Whoa, 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 whoa. We get so many moments of like that, and there's one moment where he literally goes, what? Like he just has this like huge like fucking like, oh, it's a joke.
So upper stiff British kind of acting. I love it. I think it's so good. He knocks out the barkeep in the campiest way possible.
I'm sure he loved it, and he literally like one arm up in front of his face, like oh, like falls to the floor, and with one leg underneath and one leg out, like it's dead. Like it's a death drop. Yeah, like how he punches him in the face, he falls to the floor and goes cow. Yeah,
Caca the caca, bam, yes, down.
Yeah, exactly. He
wins the trophy.
Both to the side of his head, very Octavia style, you know, model, yeah, thin,
slim,
old god,
trim line.
Yeah.
Old God serving fool to the runway. Yes. Yeah, all of that. It's oh god, it's so funny. He ends up stealing that costume. Or no, he doesn't steal the yes, he does. Sorry. He does steal the costume because what the fuck else? And he ends up joining the parade. And
but first, there's like we get a little shot of everybody drinking outside in this kind of like little courtyard area where they're just burning tar in a cauldron. Yeah. I'm like for anybody that's never been beside like construction or smelled tar before, it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Even in small amounts. I would not be sitting next to literally a vat of tar being like burnt, and everybody's like, ew, tar for 2020, you know, like it's fucking nasty.
They like this is the first time we get sure as Christopher Lee.
Oh, we get Christopher Lee as B. Arthur, as Dorothy Zbornak, as Cher in The Golden Girls. Christopher Lee is about 7.5 foot tall and about like 3.5 foot wide. In this, like,
he's described as the man woman,
jet black straight wig. It's a Cher wig. It's literally a Cher wig, and he's like in this like purple frock.
Yeah.
Like to the floor with flat shoes. He's wearing like Vans or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's literally just like, and suddenly Santana is on the track.
Yeah.
Suddenly the fucking soundtrack is Spanish guitar. It's very definitely Santana. Like, is this fucking like a Robert Rodriguez picture right here right now? You know?
Waiting for the yellow snake.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see Christopher Lee as Santana go Pandemonium.
Yeah.
With a little like like blood red thing with the
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Oh my god.
so yeah, they're kind of doing like their like procession. That's like what the track is called on the soundtrack, and everybody's like behind him, but it's Christopher. I can't get over the image of it, and it's like it's Christopher Lee with like what is he holding? He's got like a scimitar, like the
A
curved blade,
sickle. A sickle, yeah.
or the
And
sickle,
it's
yeah,
a tree
and like
branch
something else, and he's kind of just like
dancing up and
hopping,
down, yeah.
and like everybody's doing their little thing. And this is like right before this. This is where we get the Salmon of Knowledge makes a cameo.
Oh, love it.
And yeah. This is what how he dresses up in. He like knocks out
The barkeep.
like after being the landlord. He like takes like the costume on, and the costumes are like really cool. I really
Yeah.
really appreciate these.
Yeah.
It gives me very Raquel Welch, Age of Aquarius, like on top of like Mayan pyramids. It's very that.
Yeah.
Things like this always have like a real like charm to them, and they actually are kind of ultimately creepier because they look a little bit low rent in a way.
Yeah.
You know,
Homemade, all that kind of thing. Loads of
you
people are
get
dressed
that
up
big
in.
guy, the big like Viking looking dude, like as the horse
Yeah.
with the little like snapping mouth,
Yeah.
and we get this like really cool like chase scene around the village before all this goes down,
Uh-huh.
of him kind of like, I'm over here now.
Yeah.
And then like going somewhere else. And then just like appearing somewhere else. It's like, and now I'm over here. And just like leaves and like gets Howie to like chase him across the entire village.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Very slowly, I might add. Howie's kind of just like leisurely like walking a little bit fast behind him, you know?
Yeah. They tend to like what you were saying there, like the fact that all these masks and things like that look very homemade. Like most of them are rabbits, foxes, deer, all of these kinds of things, horse fish, that like really kind of in a strange way just make it, like you said, more creepier, or just more creepier, because like it's that whole thing, the uncanny valley kind of thing, like you're kind of messing with that a little bit in it.
It's not.
Yeah. I love this procession.
That would be a great episode as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, talk about the uncanny valley topic.
Yeah.
I love this procession down to the water, and he's like the first to the, like, was it the sun god, I think, that he sacrifices the ale to the ocean. At least I think it is.
Summer is a coming in.
Summer is a coming in.
Like, this is like the song that they're singing, and like again, like kind of in tradition of like these like religions and stuff. Like the fool is the fool.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of like, and like, oh, I feel so bad for Howie in this moment because he's like literally just trying to do the right thing, but it's like this is the moment where he decided his own fate.
Yes.
He decided, because he brings himself
into the situation.
Like, he joins in the procession by himself, and
willingly.
You kind of get the sense that everybody is like, okay, look, the guy in the fool costume is a Christian, and he's the police officer, but just like go along with it until we get to the top of this hill, and then we can fucking burn his ass. Just like go along with it. But like, I feel bad for him because Christopher is like, you call that dancing?
Yeah. he's like reading him
like,
to Phil.
And all these women and all the kids are coming along and kind of like slapping the shit out of him in his costume because he's the fool. And like, yeah, you do ultimately kind of feel bad for him, but then everybody like gathers in down by the waterfront, and there's this like they do this thing where they get like 7 swords or 6 swords, and they all form into a Star of David. Not a pentagram. And then they do this kind of thing where everybody like goes up and like through it, and they like
chop.
They like lock swords again.
Chop.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love
and then
it.
it gets up to the point where Howie has to do it or whatever like that.
He grabs him by the nose.
Just calling him Howie. That's like not even his name. That's his like surname.
He grabs him by the nose. I think it's... Oh, I don't remember. But like, yeah, he grabs him by the nose and like pulls him in. I'm just like, wait, who the fuck allows someone to like be pulled by the nose into that? Like, what?
I love it though. And like, We also kind of get this sense that like some people doing this are nervous. It's like,
Yeah.
does anybody else here think they're gonna die?
Yeah.
Or like, is it all set up
Yeah.
like specifically for Neil?
Neil?
That's his name. His name isn't even Howie.
Oh, right.
Howie is his like surname.
And then, what's her name? Rowan. This is the first time we actually see Rowan, is when that rabbit head is cut from her shoulders and it reveals her, right? That's exactly how it is, right?
No.
At least I remember, no? Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I think you're misremembering that all the way. Where is it?
But there is a woman, right? There's someone who has the rabbit head and it gets decapitated.
Wait.
At least I think.
Oh, wait, hold on. Harry returns to seaplane only to discover it's no longer functional. Punches the full image out. Rowan cuts her free and flees into the... Wait, what? No, we don't. Rowan is, like, brought in from, like, a sea cave.
Yes, that's it.
This lady just gets her, like, head chopped. And we're all like, oh, shit, no, what the fuck? And then she actually just had her head, like below it, and the mask was like on top of her head,
Yeah.
and they like cut the thing off, and then Rowan is kind of brought out, and
Summerisle
like,
just goes, and now, my friends, for like the more dreadful of our rituals, or blah blah blah, and you're just like, well, the tone just shifted here now.
And Rowan just kind of comes out, and it's like, oh my god, no, help me, like, oh god damn it, bro. I think this is like where Harry like takes off the costume, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so funny because this costume is like, it's so big and cumbersome, and it's got like a hunchback that like rolls up and forward.
Yeah.
In like a weird way. I don't know how in any like sense of the word that's salmon knowledge. Besides the fact that it's like covered in like silver sequins or whatever.
Yeah.
And he basically was like, run! We gotta get that shit out of here. And he like kind of like just goes up and like
punches.
Nobody like tries to stop him, and just like he like grabs Rowan, and then they
run through the
like
cave.
a set of like ocean beach cave.
Yeah.
And then like come up through the top of it somehow. And then everybody like they get up and they're like kind of going through, and she's like, wow, I like didn't remember it actually being that like
that hard, yeah.
And then they get up, and Lord Summerisle and the rest are just sitting there, out of drag, by the way. And everybody's just sitting there at the top, and they're like, wow. And look what we have here, huh? Look what the salmon knowledge dragged in. And basically Lord Summerisle is like, pal, you are fucked. Like, you like have literally no clue. We're gonna freaking kill you. I'm gonna literally kill you. Get in the Wicker Man.
Get in the Wicker Man. No.
But I love it. They kind of, this is like, where everything is kind of revealed, and they're like, Rowan was alive the whole time. We like literally tricked you, you fucking idiot. Got you. We got you.
Yeah. Boom! Reveal. Big reveal.
Yeah, no, like literally. And then, hold on, wait.
They end up like disrobing him and like putting him in a white martyr's. Yeah.
The kind of man you figure to have like a little piece like in the middle or something.
Wow. Get over it. We know you want to fuck him. We got it.
Yeah, I sure do.
There's a lot of kind of back and forth between Summerisle and Howie about like, this is the reason why we brought you here. You're the king for the day. You're the fool. You're a virgin. You're the best. Kind of like, he even says like animals and crops will only go so far with the gods, and the ultimate way to get what we want is we have to kill you.
He's like, a small child even.
Oh yes, a small child even.
Yeah, he's like, that'll do. It'll do. We need a virgin, bro. And pal, you are fucked.
Yeah.
We're going to fuck your shit up. up, bro. You should have fucked that girl.
Yeah.
If you had just
had it done that,
Willow,
you would have been fine.
if you had just had sex with Willow, because then actually not even realizing this, I'm like, wait, was Willow trying to like help him then?
It's a good question because that's something that's brought up in the remake. Is like that Willow, who happens to be Nicolas Cage's ex per se, is sort of conflicted between whether she wants to help him or doesn't want to help him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. I like it better when it's less ambiguous and more of like a no, nobody's trying to help him. But then like I actually hadn't thought about that. Like, she was trying to seduce him, and I wonder if like everybody knew that she was trying to do that.
Yeah.
Is her? Oh yeah, because her whole thing is taking the virginity of men.
Yeah. Mind blown.
Live developments. Yeah.
I also think it's really, really great that when, like I said earlier, like Howie sort of spits it back in Summerisle's face, saying like, if this doesn't work, they'll come for you next time. He even he points the finger at him and says, you will be the one. Like no one else will do for the gods except you next time if this does not work. And basically in Summerisle's head, he's more like, oh fuck, he's just after saying that in front of all of the village. Like I'll have to get out of here.
Lord Summerisle is cancelled. You'll never guess what he did to me on set. It's very that, you know.
Yeah, but Summerisle kind of comes back and goes, "It will work," like very kind of confirming.
I know it will work, and he's kind of looking around like, he's like a little bit nervous or whatever. But then we kind of, I love this kind of line where it's like, "Well, you've gotten what you wanted. You'll die a martyr."
Yeah, like you will sit amongst
like
the
if
elect.
You really believe in your God.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you'll sit among the saints. Like you'll be heralded. All this kind of stuff. I love it. And then they like throw this little like white robe on him and like snatch it with a little like rope belt in the middle. Very cute. But like,
very OC Jesus.
Sort of classic Christian.
Yeah,
imagery.
martyrdom. Yeah.
Exactly, it's almost Jesus-like to see like him like in these type of robes.
Yeah.
And everybody else is back in like modern kind of clothing.
Yeah.
And he's in, literally like a potato sack with sleeves. And they're like dragging him to this thing, and then we get the, oh Lord, oh Jesus Christ!
And it's such a cool shot because like it's a faraway shot first where he just starts to come over the hill, and then as that genuine look, I'll talk about it now in a second, but that look of genuine terror, and the camera just zooms right up to his face, and genuine horror, like fear of the highest regard. That stricken look on his face of the sacrificial Sergeant Howie, it was real. Because Woodward had only seen drawings of the Wicker Man before. And not only that, but the scene was shot in an incredible rush, as the production was only days from shutdown.
Literally the very last shot.
Yeah. He had no time to learn any lines, and he had to read them off giant letters on bed sheets hung from nearby cliffs. That's how fucking like crazy this whole scene
I think,
is.
Like this entire last scene, like if you know anything about the Wicker Man, if you've ever seen anything with the Wicker Man, this is the scene you've seen because it's the one with the Wicker Man.
It's iconic.
But it's like
absolutely
that realization of not only knowing that you're going to die, but dying by fire, by being like essentially burnt at the stake, which is kind of what Christians do to pagans.
This is true.
It's like kind of like a nice reversal because fuck them, and but I actually never noticed before, and like I might look like a fucking total idiot, but I never noticed that the Wicker Man was also filled with animals as well. That they're like really kind of like they're putting like all of their eggs in one basket. They're really like hoping that like this sacrifice will work.
Yeah.
Like it has to, because as we've seen before, every year except for last year has worked.
Yeah.
So like now they're kind of at a point where they're like desperate. They like really don't know what to do. So they're kind of just like throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. They
And then
definitely,
they like put him in the fucking Wicker Man.
yeah, they definitely have, like, just like what you mentioned there with all the animals and things like that. PETA actually intervened during the filming of these scenes because apparently the some of the community that were asked to join in, which by the way, most of the people in that are just like normal actors that they'd asked from off the streets to come in and join this. Some of them complained because animals, there were physical animals there. Now during the fire
Oh
there
yeah,
was
there's
no,
live animals like up in this actual Wicker
yeah,
Man.
during the fire scenes there were no real animals. They weren't there. They were just like prop animals per se.
Yeah,
But during the opening shots, like that first scenes, like where he's being dragged up to the Wicker Man, that there
like
were
ducks and
live
pigs and
animals,
stuff.
and PETA intervened, saying you can't do this. You need to get them out of there. Like, this is cruel. You need to stop. But the director fought back, saying they're treated absolutely fine. The only reason why they're being scared is because they were hoisted above the ground. That was the only reason why any of the animals were being loud or anything like that, because they could see the
Yeah,
ground and they weren't on it, which was scary to them. Especially like the sheep and the lamb that was actually above Howie's part of the cage of the head. Uh-huh.
Very Christian
Was
imagery. Put me with
was
the pentagram. I'm a sacrificial lamb. That's a great song.
Hardy reported that the crew is set at the giant fire, right? The goat in one of the Wicker Man's compartments above constantly peed on Woodward during
Yeah.
filming. So like
Isn't
when you
that funny though?
see,
A symbol of like a horned god, like
uh
a pagan symbol pissing all over a Christian symbol who's underneath a lamb,
yeah, it's
which is a very Christian symbol. I love the duality in this movie though.
yeah, it's just, it was so funny because like when you
Unbelievable.
see the, like he begins to, I think it's a prayer, his final prayer as he's being set alight, that like
The
he's sort
Lord
of
is my
doing,
shepherd, I shall not want. Yeah,
he's
I know he
he's sort of
sings that
like,
as he's being burnt.
yeah, he's sort of like doing this weird kind of like twitchy kind of thing, and it's purely because there is pee from above him being pissed on. It's so funny. Like you have to see it to like re-notice it, because he's literally like flinching away from where he's sitting because the fucking lamb is pissing on him. Oh, it's so funny. I love it.
It's great. We have like this scene is like it's very very well shot. It's very well filmed, and like the art, like the whole like what's going on. Like I really like it. It's kind of like it's another example of like the quote unquote bad guys win,
Yeah,
which I think ultimately is more interesting because it's like it's like you want to do like what's not expected, which is also kind of I don't want to say like out of touch with the times, but it's like still in the 70s, especially being the early 70s, you expect the good guy, the police officer, and the Christian to win.
yeah,
Um, but it was kind of in a time period where, and I feel like we're actually in the same kind of renaissance now, where um, classic, quote unquote classic, like Christianity, like these type of religions are kind of in the decline,
mm-hmm.
and spirituality, paganism, Wicca, all that kind of stuff is on the rise.
Yeah,
So you kind of get this weird duality. I think I read yesterday that like only 43% of Americans are Christian, which is the lowest that like numbers they've had in a long, long, long time.
yeah,
So I think like it's kind of history repeating itself in a way. And I
yeah,
think like I think like the modern equivalent to this movie would be Midsummer. Just because it kind of like, and like, don't get me wrong, when I hear that, don't expect, if you've seen Midsummer and you're a fan of that, don't expect the same thing with
yeah.
the
Really
Wicker Man.
don't.
They're very different, but like, they kind of, they're like sister movies. They kind of pair very well together.
Yeah.
They actually would make a very good double feature because they're different enough. But yeah, I kind of like those parallels. And like, yeah, I imagine this would have been very shocking.
Oh, it was total like game changer of a film. And this film was released as a double feature with Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now, which is like that to me is just so cool. Like, imagine going for a double feature and like having The Wicker Man and Don't Look Now. That would be fucking lit. I would love that.
Donald Sutherland, another very good 70s leading man. Thick mustache.
And this was considered as a B movie as well, which is like,
Nathan, look, I can see why. It's camp. It's camp as fuck.
oh yeah, it's camp as you like, yeah.
And it's kind of quintessentially British camp. Like very like you can picture like if they just tweaked this slightly, it would almost be a Carry On movie, you know? Carry On Burning Christians.
Yeah, you know? Very that. I can totally see like Babs walking down like the main street, just going to Lord Summerisle.
Yeah, like with the Iron Maiden kind of thing. It's very what was her name? Barbara Windsor.
Oh, rest
Mitchell.
in peace.
You can see her in the Willow Row. Like,
But a lot more comedic, like she's reaching out the window and her bra like flies off into the Virgin's face.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's like a little like white lace bar. I know, I love this whole ending, like very Nero type behavior, burning Christians and such.
Yeah.
But then you basically get like everybody there is chanting and they're like have their own like song going. And then it's like like it's very like cheery.
Yeah.
But you're like it's kind of
they've accomplished their goal.
Exactly, they've won, and in their mind, like nothing like benevolent has happened.
Yeah,
you know, and like if it wasn't him, it would have been one of them.
Yeah,
and then he's in there, and the Lord is my shepherd, I shall, and it's just, and then he's just screaming.
Yeah,
and then the screaming stops.
Yeah.
And then it starts to collapse in on itself, and the imagery of the final kind of few shots are stunning.
It
and
also mirrors the opening.
It would have been such a fucking pain in the dick to get this last shot where the Wicker Man's head falls in and collapses on itself and then falls off to reveal the sun. This bright sun, which to me shows that the pagan gods are real and are listening.
Yeah.
Versus it raining and saving him. And just the sun is that like you can't even get those shots anymore. I think like our modern cameras don't really like pick it up too much. And another moment where I always go back to for a good sun shot is like in Funny Girl, they do the exact same thing where the sun is framed in such a way and it's just out of focus enough that it looks like it looks unreal. Like it looks like a big ball of fire, not millions and millions of miles away. It's just this like almost red, like unnatural looking. So it's just the shot is so good. It's like delicious is kind of the word I would describe it as.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
you want to live deliciously. You gotta live deliciously. The other thing I really like the idea, or at least that iconic moment, is when Christopher Lee throws up his hands. The wind is like blowing his hair around, and he's like proclaiming like this will be what brings the crops back to his people.
Well, it's the cover.
It's part of the poster. It's what I think of. It's, I mean, apart from obviously the Wicker Man image, but like when I think the Wicker Man, almost immediately that one shot of him throwing up his arms and like proclaiming this sacrifice to the sun god and the goddess of the orchards to everything. And I think it's such a strong image, and I think that should definitely be recognized, because that's absolutely like when I think of, if I was to put like a top 10 image,
it's like the iconic image. Yeah, it's like like even more so than like just the Wicker Man itself. It's like Christopher Lee is like the icon of this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like the first thing I think of when I think of the Wicker Man, again, like it is Christopher Lee, but it's the procession where everybody's dressed up and him kind of doing the little like hop with the wig on. Like I just like this movie is actually like it's perfectly casted, except for the people whose voices or actors they didn't want to use.
So that is essentially the film. It's absolutely, it's a stunning film. It's shot beautifully. The acting is great. The weird campy moments are great. The frightening images at the end are fantastic. And like it's just
It's
Love it.
almost not even a horror movie when you think about
Yeah, I
it.
actually said
It's
that to
more
you. It plays out like a
detective
detective
mystery
story.
kind of crime thriller. And it's
Like,
only really until the very last 15 minutes it
what's
becomes
that?
out and out a horror movie.
Midsummer Murders or something like that.
Midsummer Murders, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it like
that was
plays
a
out
show.
essentially something like that until like the
It is.
last 15
It's
minutes of the
very.
film.
I know. I quote you the other day. It plays out like an Agatha Christie novel.
Yeah, it does because like
Yeah.
nothing really out of the ordinary apart from the baby, umbilical cord kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing really is out of the ordinary. It's just some villagers
You have no
acting
reason to
strange.
suspect anybody because the first person he interviews is her mother and her quote unquote mother.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and like he doesn't have a suspect in mind. He kind of is going into this completely blank.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I want to know like what the follow up is because I'm not watching The Wicker Tree. I want to know like does this company does this kind of cult have like inside men in the police? You know, how was this covered up? Um how was Edward Woodward's death in this movie
Yeah,
dealt with?
yeah, yeah.
You know, if you went there to stay there for 3 days. And like, I'm joking. I will watch The Wicker Tree eventually, but like, I feel like it's not the sequel that I want.
No, it's not. It really isn't, and it doesn't do as good. It doesn't
You
do.
recommended it like half an hour ago.
No, but what I mean is like it doesn't do as good as a job. Like I said, like the Wicker Man is the millstone around anyone's neck that tries to do a folk horror film and has to live up to, or at least try to go for the standard that the Wicker Man is and is now. So like ultimately any film is going to fail. But if you are looking for a sequel, technically it is a direct sequel to this film. Based off of just the fact that Christopher Lee does make a physical appearance in the film as Lord Summerisle. So it is pretty much that. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Ultimately, yeah, I'm very very happy with this movie. It's one of those movies that I find even only having like rewatched it once, I find it like very comforting. I find the score and the way everything is shot, and there's just something about 70s dialogue, like the way, I don't mean like what they're saying, I mean like whatever equipment that's used to record.
Yeah.
It got like a softness to it. Like I could very easily picture me like listening to this movie, like having it on in the background while I fall asleep. It's very relaxing.
So that is our retrospective for the
Wicker Man.
Yeah, the Wicker Man. It's just like, how are you gonna, 1973, fucking folk horror classic. That's, yeah. How do you go from there? I don't know.
It's fucking great.
It's fucking great.
No, definitely. Highly recommend.
So that is it, freaks and geeks and weirdos and whatnot, and yeah.
And you've been listening to
They're
Here podcast.
What have you got for next week?
Next week it is my choice. I have chosen George A. Romero's Crowning Jewel, Night of the Living Dead.
Deep
They're
stuff.
coming to get you, Barbara. Yeah.
Love it. So stay tuned. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on our Instagram page for more content and fun little tidbits and all of that, So, yeah. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. Unpleasant dreams.
I always wait for that.
Does anybody even get that reference?
No, I don't get it either.
It's an Elvira reference.
Yeah, whatever.
What do you mean, whatever? Oh,